Just 3 games left for the team in the National Youth League season. You must be delighted for the form of the side in 2012, having not lost a match and rocketed into first place.
Yeah, look, we're very pleased with certainly with the results. And when we did a review of the first half of the season, the simple answer was that we felt we'd underachieved. You know, I said from the beginning we had probably the most talented squad that we put together, and we'd laboured a bit in the 4 games prior to the Christmas break. So, you know, hitting the ground running at the start of the new year and going unbeaten for so long has been fantastic, and especially the defensive performance of the team. You know, 15 games played and only 13 goals conceded speaks volumes for that effort.
The game against Brisbane Roar on Friday night was an end-to-end affair, which the team won 2-0. Were you pleased with that performance, and especially the commitment shown by the players defensively?
Absolutely. I mean, that was an example of exactly the type of defensive performance that I've been looking for. Brisbane were a very good team, possibly, you know, the best equipped team in attack that we've seen in the Youth League, certainly for the years that I've been involved. And we found it very difficult to get a foothold in the game in the second half in terms of possession. And we needed to be resilient and strong, and we showed a lot of character as well as good structure. And it gave us the platform to win. You know, Mitchell Duke scored with an opportunistic strike in the first half, and then on the break with the last kick of the game. And you can only do that when your defence performs as well as it did.
The final home match of the NIL season is at home to Sydney FC on Sunday the 4th of March. It would be nice to have some good support for the players on that day, considering the team would be crowned champions at that match, do you think?
Absolutely, it's great when Plume Park's got a buzz about it. It's certainly good for the players, and I'm going back 2 seasons when we finished, you know, we needed to beat Sydney FC at home to win the minor premiership, as it was then in the Youth League, and had a big crowd. We had about 700 down there. It was a fantastic atmosphere, and we actually drew that game, had to rely on another result for us to win it, which actually went our way, which was great. But you know, we could theoretically have the league wrapped up the week before, but it's unlikely. I would think we'll be playing Sydney FC for a result and to win the league.
Apart from the results, of course, what have been the main positives out of the NIL season?
I mean, certainly the three players making you know, making their way into the first team for the 2012-2013 season. You know, the real job of a development coach is to develop players, and to get 3 players signed to pro contracts is you know, very rewarding for the people involved in the National Youth League programme. And a 4th one with young Davy Bradisevich getting a gig with the Champions League squad as one of the goalkeepers is you know, great for them. So I think it's twofold. When the team succeeds, the players are in a much bigger shop window. Other clubs show interest in our players, and the likes of Nick Fitzgerald, that played well for Brisbane, is an example of the type of players that we've produced here over the last few years. So I'm pleased with that.
If we then look at this season, what do you see in the future now that it has gone so good for the league?
Look, it starts again. We're coming off the back of a first place finish, a second place finish last season, and at the moment we're sitting on top of the table. So it's a case of, it's a never-ending cycle with youth. Some players now move on to the first team, some are too old to continue. We have a succession plan in place where we've already identified 4 or 5 players who, providing they don't get injured during the State League season, will be automatic selections for the Mariners next year. And again, they're players that have had either AIS or, you know, youth national team exposure. So we're talking about high quality players. Another objective is to really closely scrutinise the local players on the Central Coast, and that's a long-term proposition. We want to get local players into the National Youth League team. There is a gap at the moment between the standard of player that we need to bring in and the standard of local players. But with the academy, we've got the opportunity now to bridge that gap. It's going to take some time, but that's an exciting proposition.
One of your other roles with the club is helping organise the Mariners' participation in the 2012 AFC Champions League. How is that going?
Look, that's a massive. It's a massive addition to the workload, not just for me but for everybody else involved. But the real purpose of that role is to take all the distractions away from the senior team, to allow Arnie and the boys to focus just on football. And really an away trip, apart from the distance involved and the time factor, an away trip shouldn't be any real different than an away trip to Perth, for example. The flight's a little bit longer, the culture's a little bit different, but from a purely football perspective, if we can keep it as normal as possible for the teams when they're travelling, and then make sure for the home games that everything's in place, then it should be business as usual.
And what do you think of Manor's chance in the group then?
Look, I think we're an incredibly difficult team to break down. I think we've got a lot of strength that will pose challenges for the Asian teams that are coming here. You know, I'll be very confident against Tianjin. Seongnam, I think, you know, the K-League's a good league, and I think it will be very competitive between the two sides. And when we play a J-League side, we're up against a budget that's maybe 6 times the budget that we have to work with. And with respect to that, we can still make life very difficult for them. You'd expect them to be a very strong test for our boys. We can get through the group stages, and I'm confident we can do that.